The Workarama Podcast is about embracing and celebrating new ways of working. The world has shifted considerably in the way we work. Thousands of people have now been set up to work from home, and this happened very quickly. Workarama is a podcast of conversations, ideas, and personal experiences to show businesses and individuals how they can make these changes in a more permanent way, and how to ensure that both employers and employees can thrive in this new way of working. In this episode, we're going to meet Mel Goode. Mel is a good friend of mine, actually. We met through work, but many, many years ago. We've been good drinking partners since then. She is currently furloughed from an investment company. She normally works in their finance department. I wanted to talk to Mel because I think we've all got such different experiences of what's going on in the world at the moment. She's one of the few people I know that has been furloughed. So it might sound like a perfect scenario. There's certainly times in my day that it sounds perfect to me to be paid to sit at home and read books. But I think in the reality, it probably isn't quite that perfect at all. So we're going to meet Mel and let's see what she's got to say. Hey, Melanie, how are you doing?
All right, how are you?
I'm fine. It's so lovely to see you.
You too.
Seen you for so long. Just full disclosure, everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Melanie Goode, who is a very good, long-standing friend of mine. How long have we known each other now?
I don't like to add it up really, but I think it's like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might be too. And how did we meet each other?
We worked together at a quality assurance company in London Bridge.
Did we love it?
It was a very good introduction to me. I'd just moved down from up north, so it was a job in London which got me started, but it was challenging.
Yeah. It was fun though. We spent more time in the pub, I think, than in work, didn't we?
I think we did. Yeah, we did. It was great. Right round the corner, right on the river. Fabulous.
I had that amazing desk. I don't know if you remember, but my desk was right in the window.
Yeah, it was.
And so I used to watch the boats going up and down.
Yeah,
I don't think I did any work.
Yeah. It's hard to believe now how great that desk situation was.
Yeah.
How much would you have to pay for that now, especially as London has changed so much and London Bridge? I don't know when you last went there. It's a long time ago for me. But
Yeah, no, it's gone completely mad. And we've remained good friends ever since. We've drunk lots of wine since then, I think.
Yes, many hangovers.
We even climbed a very big mountain together.
We did. How was that?
Yeah, so Mel and I went round the Annapurnas in Nepal, and I would say that was like about 5 years ago, but I think that was probably about 15 years ago as well, wasn't it? Probably more than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a long time. Anyway, suffice to say, all this waffle, we've been through a lot together. Yes. What I wanted to talk to you about today, what I'm trying to gather is sort of general experiences of work generally, sort of how it was, how it's been through COVID-19, and how you think it might be in the future. Okay. So just tell us what your job is. What do you do and who do you work for?
Okay, I work for a small financial services company in Marlow. There's about 15 of us that work there. A few administrators, consultants, nice environment, lovely town to work in, very, very busy. The guy who owns the company, my boss, has been in the business for over 35 years, and all his clients are high-end, very high-value portfolios, and expect personal service. So you have to know all your clients. You know, when their husband died, if something happened with one of their kids, right. you can't just pick up the phone and just waffle. You have to know them. So that's very challenging. And too much paperwork still. Still way too much printing going on, but we're working on that.
Okay. And how long have you been there?
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you work? I mean, what's your sort of mode of operation? Do you go into the office every day, or do you work remotely?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I was working full-time office, 8:30 till 4:30 every day, hour for lunch, which is dangerous in Marlow, nice shops. So I recently went part-time in December because I have fibromyalgia.
Right.
So I was finding full-time a little bit too much. So I now work Monday to Wednesday full days and Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Desk-based. I don't leave the office for meetings or anything like that. Mostly on the laptop. Lots of printing of reports and publishing of those. Putting meeting packs together, valuations. Yeah, a lot of online stuff. And
okay. So you go into the office every day. You never work remotely. Was there ever an opportunity to work remotely?
No, because that's not how my job works. My job relies on me being physically in the office to provide paperwork, so it's not something I can do from home.
So if it wasn't so paper-based, would you be able to, do you think? Or is it the paper that keeps you there?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And also, my boss is quite strict. He's a good guy. He's fair, but he's quite strict. He likes to have his eye on what everyone's doing. Yeah. So even the consultants who, are 50-odd-year-old guys who've been in the industry for years, if they're not at meetings, they're in the office. They rarely work from home either. It's just his modus. That's what he likes. He likes to see people. He likes to have people in the office talking so that he can hear what's going on and always know what's happening.
Mm. So you've got 2 kids. You've got teenage kids. Yeah, the lovely Katie and the lovely Harry.
Yes.
So how does going to work every day, how does that work? I presume it's got easier for you as time has gone on, as they've got older.
As they've got older, yeah.
But still, there must be challenges around that.
Yeah, very much so. I've pretty much been a single parent since they were at primary school. So having help with friends, having the kids for a couple of hours after school before I get in. And, like everybody, you do your full day at work and then you come home and you do your other job, Before you go to work, you do the breakfast, the dog walk and everything. Make sure the kids have everything they need. Last minute, oh, Mum, can you sign this letter? I need 20 quid. And then when you get in, it's dinner, clean up from dinner, a load of washing, So, yeah, like all parents, it's a big job.
Yeah, big job, but and I think I don't have kids, so it's difficult to imagine it. But what I do imagine is just utter exhaustion, and it is what you do; it's what you get used to. But God, it must be exhausting.
Yes, no, for sure. And you don't realise how exhausting until you stop. I mean, I'm very lucky. My kids are brilliant. They're fairly self-sufficient. If something needs doing and I ask, they'll do it. Katie's 19 and she's been vegetarian for a year or so she kind of does her own thing for food now. Yes, so it's got a lot easier, but when they were smaller it was really difficult.
So going part-time must have been such a relief after
massive time. Yeah, I spent the first month of my Thursday afternoons and my Fridays just reading or sleeping or just not doing very much at all. And then I said to myself, that's what I'm going to do. I allowed myself that few weeks just to get to a level of energy. And then after that, did more useful things with my days, but at my own pace, which is really good.
So you've been furloughed from work. Was that right from the beginning, or when did that happen?
Well, what happened was a couple of weeks before lockdown, Katie went on holiday with her boyfriend to Portugal and came back and ended up really poorly. And it was right just before everyone was hovering on how seriously they were going to take this situation. They were watching what was going on in the rest of the world and saying, we really need to do something. But yeah, it was difficult. So I had explained to my boss on the Friday that the kids were poorly. And they were very poorly, actually. Harry didn't even go on his gaming computer for 2 days. So
must be bad.
But seriously, they were very unwell, and it was clear to me that it was possible, highly possible, that they had this illness everyone was talking about. So I had called work, and they said, no, the current situation is, we're talking like the beginning of March, the current situation is, if you're not in work, you're on SSP. That's it. So I went in on the Monday, because I was told to, which I was really concerned around, because I've got people in the office. There's a lady at work who's got a very serious illness, she's getting treatment for it. And I wasn't comfortable being there. And so I didn't actually feel well the next morning myself. So I just phoned up and said, well, I'm not coming back. I'm not convinced I had the same illness or anything. And they just said, well, if you're not well, that's it. You're on 2 weeks SSP now. Done. No debate. So that happened. And right when I was sorry, there's a plane coming over. We live near an airfield.
I can't hear it.
Right when I was due to go back to work, I had a phone call from my boss to say, he actually didn't use the word furlough at this stage. He phoned me and said, how are you feeling? And what were his words? Wasn't redundancy. I can't remember how he said it. But basically, 3 months, you're not coming into work. I'm going to have to do this. And I said, okay. So what happens then? And he said, well, I'll review it every however many weeks, but I can't see you coming back to work before the end of June, which is 80% pay. So
we probably didn't use the word furlough because we didn't even know what it was then. I mean, there's a whole new language that's come in, hasn't it? I mean, we all know what furlough means now. We all know what PPE means now. It's totally different language going on.
No, it is absolutely totally. And he definitely didn't use that word. He used one of the, what would you say? Anyway, it was a word that put the fear of God in me anyway, because I thought, am I getting the sack? Is this the step to me not having a job anymore?
Yeah.
Because it was right at the beginning before, as you say, people had the language and could explain this properly.
Yeah.
So he just said to me, well, I'll call you in another couple of days, which he did. And by this point, there was the 80% scheme, and he had a lot clearer idea of what was happening via the office manager and, researching the government scheme properly. So in the end, he just said, well, stay at home, look after the family, look after yourself, view it as a break, and you are still getting some wages. So hopefully if we do this, it will mean you have a job to come back to.
But how's it been? How's furloughing been? I mean, I think that the main reason I ask is because, you hear this phrase, oh, we're all in the same boat. But the reality is we're all in very, very different boats, aren't we? Depending on what your experience is of it. And I think it's very easy to view this situation through your own eyes and not through anybody else's, which is one of the reasons why I'm really interested in talking to people with different experiences. So how has furlough been for you? Honestly.
Well, initially it was a big shock because I felt like I'd been discarded at the convenience of somebody else. I'm now recently single, so that was a shock, emotionally and financially.
Yeah.
I went part-time at the end of last year. They know my situation. It's not been an amicable split, so that's had pressure. And then I'm down to 80%. And, there's so many aspects of this. There's the financial concern because you have your outgoings based on what you think you're getting in every month. And that changes. Katie's taking a year off, my daughter. So she's actually been furloughed as well. So she has some money coming in. So that helps a lot. She contributes. So the financial side of things, it's figures on paper and it either works or it doesn't. And you make it work. It's a worry, but you can't change it. The psychological side of it is really difficult because I felt like I'd been pushed to one side. I haven't heard very much from people at work. A couple of people who I'm quite close to, but not a lot from the boss.
Are they allowed to contact you?
Who?
The work. I don't really know how it works. Are they allowed to contact you?
No, I don't actually. I mean, presumably they can't call you. If you're furloughed, you're not working. They can't call you every 5 minutes saying, where's that file? What's happening with this? Because that would be you working. So that they can't do. But my boss made it clear in the beginning he was going to stay in fairly regular contact, sort of every 2 or 3 weeks, give me a call, update me on what's happening, which he has done. And he's been really pleasant about it and kept me up to date with what they're thinking. He's in the same position as everyone else, though, and it's his business. It's his livelihood. And because of the nature of the business, it's based on investments, portfolios. So the stock market and how that works. And the fees we get from that are percentage. So the second the stock market has anything go wrong, he's in trouble because he's not getting that income. So there's a few of us that he's had to say, just stick at home, take the 80. But he doesn't know either, any more than anyone else what's going on. He's just trying to manage it. But initially I just thought, oh, wow, thanks very much. I'll just sit here and then just wait for something good to happen. And so many people were saying, well, it's great, isn't it? You're basically getting paid to be on holiday and not have to do anything. And I tried to convince myself that this was actually what was happening, that I was being paid just to lounge around and do nothing. My brain doesn't work like that. I like to be occupied. So the amount of flipping quizzes and stupid games on Facebook that I've downloaded is ridiculous. But, it's not the same. It's not productive. So being mentally productive, not having that has been really, really hard. Physically, trying to exercise, trying to get out there, but your state of mind, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You don't sit and think, oh great, I've got all day, I'm going to go out for an hour. You think, I'm thoroughly fed up, I'm going to sit here. And thankfully, I am blessed with very good friends, such as yourself, to be able to compare notes with, to think, am I lazy? Why can't I motivate myself to do anything? Looking around the house thinking, I could sort that cupboard, I could do this. No, not doing it. Why? You're sat at home. But it's not a situation that anyone's prepared for, not mentally. Psychologically, it's just an absolute car crash. So, I think we're week 11 now or something like that.
I don't know. I've lost track. In all honesty,
I think we're about week 11 because we had that 2 weeks before, something like that. And it's really only the past week that I've thought, just chill, just, stop putting so much pressure on yourself. You didn't create the situation. We all need to make sure that we deal with it properly. So just let yourself do what you can, and if you can't, don't. And just wait for the next piece of information to come through. It's good we can drive places. So me and the dog drove to a park I'd not been to before yesterday for an hour, socially distancing, obviously, but it was just nice to go somewhere else. So that's a bit of a relief.
Do you know other people that have been furloughed? Because, I find like in the business world, I think in any arena that you're in, it's always good if you can compare notes with other people in the same situation. And I'm in the same situation as many, many other people in the business world. But I think my sense around the furloughing is that huge sense of isolation, because, you're not supposed to have much contact with work, and unless you know other people in the same situation that are furloughed, it's difficult to compare notes, I think. I actually don't have that many people that I know who are friends of mine who are furloughed. I've got a very close friend who unfortunately lost her job about a month before lockdown, so we talk a lot. She jokes though, because she's quite a hermit anyway. So she's like, well, okay, it's not nice having the choice taken away from you, but I spend so much time at home anyway that I've not really noticed. Mm-hmm. But no, because I've got my friends work just purely by coincidence. They are people who work at GP surgeries, or they actually work in the NHS. Nurses and things like that, or they're still working. My brother, he works from home because he has his own business and has for many years, so he's got an office space at home. So although he's not doing his commute a couple of times a week physically into where he goes, he has the setup there, and it's a situation he's familiar with. He's used to working from home and working that around his family, so it's not quite such a shock. And what about the company that you work for? So you say that your boss likes to sort of have that sort of daily overview of what's going on. I presume that everybody that is still working there has had to work from home, and he doesn't have that anymore. Are you aware of how they've dealt with that?
I don't. No, to be honest. He's not very into video calls or anything like that. So unless he's pulled it out the bag and decided he's suddenly going to go onto Zoom or WhatsApp or something, then I would imagine there's an awful lot of telephone calls happening.
Yeah. And do you have any sense of whether or not you will go back? You said you've been in contact with them sort of reasonably often. Any sense of that at the moment, or do you think it's too early to tell?
I can't see myself being back at work until the end of June.
Yeah.
Really. And he did say that from day one. He said, if we're going to have to do this for 3 months now, it looks like, so that's what it's going to be. That isn't necessarily because the proper social distancing can't be arranged. That's a purely cash flow decision, I would imagine.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. I want a job to go back to, and now they've extended the scheme a little bit. I'm slightly concerned about the part where they said that they're going to start asking employers to help out, because I don't know how much he will have to be able to do that. So nothing's been said, as far as I can see, about, when the 3-month 80% that the government put in place, when that ends, what contributions employers are going to have to start making.
What
There's
next?
no figures or anything like that. So I don't know, because in my work, he can't change the stock market, so he can't change what's going in. It's not like it's a business he can suddenly manufacture more of the product or something like that. It's out of his control, so I don't know.
And if there was an option for you to continue to work, after the end of June and not go back into the office, is that the kind of thing that would appeal to you or not? I think it can be a bit Marmite sometimes. Yeah,
definitely. If you'd asked me a couple of months ago, I'd have said, yes, please, because I want to be doing something. But now I'm kind of used to living in my pajamas and getting up when I want. So I guess the way I work personally is I need to have the separate environment. So I need to get up, put some different clothes on that are work clothes, drive to the office, separate myself geographically from my home space, and know that that's where I am and that's what I'm doing, I think I might struggle with keeping any kind of routine and motivation going if I was just getting up in my pajamas and making a coffee and sitting at a laptop.
Mm.
I mean, I'd work. I wouldn't take the mickey. I would work, but I think I'd find it hard.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I mean, if you think about why we go to work, it isn't just to earn a living, is it? It's all about that socialization aspect as well. So I think for many, many people, work doesn't have to be that central city location necessarily. No. We could be looking at co-working spaces and halfway houses and, all of that kind of stuff. But to actually say, right, that's it, it's home and that's all it ever is, I think is quite a big ask for a lot of people long term.
It's very difficult, especially, I'm very socially interactive at work. I bounce ideas off people. My colleague and I who sit near enough to each other, what do you think about this? Shall I tell such and such? How should we deal with it? And he'll do the same. And you can't and that's just because you're there. If I was working from home and that other colleague was also working from home, I wouldn't be picking up the phone every 5 minutes to say, what do you think about this? I'd be thinking, well, I'm sitting here by myself. I have to just sort it out. It's very, very different. So I think that takes a lot away from your role if you don't have that.
Yeah. I think, as you say, I think it does make a huge difference. I think there's only so much that we can replace by doing this, because this is a conversation that we're having. It's not that sort of natural, fluid, chance chats, really. That I think
exactly that. I mean, apart from, I don't know, everyone setting up Zoom in the morning from 9 till 5 and just leaving it sitting there with everyone in a row. I don't know how you do it. That would get quite confusing, I would imagine. But I don't, or pairing off with each other maybe and saying, right, you two Zoom with each other for the day and just doing it. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I think all these
technology's great.
Sorry?
Technology's great, but you can never ever replace face to face.
No. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So what's planned for this afternoon then on furlough? You got dressed today, so that's a good thing.
Only for you, love. You forced me to have a shower. We'll be talking about this on a separate occasion. Eyeliner and everything.
Thank you.
Bit of washing, probably a glass of wine. What time is it?
Of course.
That's it really. Dinner, probably an early night. I've been doing a lot of reading. Crikey knows how many books I've got through. But that's what keeps my brain going, because I'm not a big telly fan. So
okay, well look, it's been absolutely lovely to talk to you, lovely to see you in a more of a professional setting than normally pissed down the pub as we normally are.
That's us.
I really, really appreciate you chatting, and I really, really, really appreciate your honesty. So, and I'm sure lots of other people will as well. So,
no problem.
Take care and look after yourself. And I really do hope I see you soon.
All right. See you later.
Oh, the lovely Mel. It was so good to talk to her. It's interesting, isn't it? All those different experiences and that psychological aspect of being at home, being paid 80%, which sort of covers your expenses, but probably not quite. That not knowing really what's going to happen, and filling your day with something that's productive when you're used to being useful and out in the real world, and also that feeling of are we going to go back to the way things were? There's a lot of talk out there about people not wanting to go back at all, and yet you talk to Mel, and from a socialisation point of view, then absolutely she's ready to go back. No one knows whether she's ready to go back quite yet, I don't know, but she really, really wants to go back as and when she's ready. So it's all very, very interesting, and I hope you enjoyed listening to her as much as I enjoyed talking to her. Thank you.